In January 2011, 2 weeks into his job, Merck CEO Kenneth C. Frazier found out that a nearly completed 13,000 patient study on Vorapaxar was shut down by a safety committee. Vorapaxar was considered to be one of Merck's most promising drugs in development. Some experts predicted that its sales could reach $5 billion a year. Despite this shutdown, 1 month later, the company announced that it was doubling its funding for development of Vorapaxar, amounting to $8.5 billion spent on research in 2011. This put Merck at the top of research spending worldwide, next to its biggest competitor, Pfizer. And for some context, that's on par with Microsoft. Frazier admitted that innovation is difficult and risky. However, he said that a company like Merck must be aggressive and take full advantage of such opportunities like Vorapaxar. Merck, the second largest U.S. drug maker, faces increased competition from generic brands which could jeopardize various drug profits that amounted to a quarter of the company's $46 billion annual sales. When Frazier announced the $8.5 billion investment, Merck stock fell 2.7%. Pharmaceutical research, however, is different because it takes years for investments to turn a profit. Drugs that deal with cholesterol, diabetes, and vaccines cost more money and take even longer because of more rigorous testing. The cost for developing a new drug can be as much as $1.3 billion. But Frazier, who is a self-made success story, has many reasons to be confident. He's a Harvard Law School grad. He has experienced much success in the courtroom, from acquitting a man on death row accused of murder to winning 11 of 16 lawsuits for Merck over the faulty product Vioxx in 2007. It was estimated that Frazier actually saved Merck roughly $10 billion from those trials. Since being named the CEO of Merck on January 1st, 2011, Frazier has focused the organization's funds on research and development of new drugs. He has been quoted saying, "If you are going to be in the business of breakthrough research, you have to accept that timing can be uncertain and risks are large."
I'm Christy Duffy for Smart Trend News. Merck, formerly known as Schering-Plough, makes medicines for a number of ailments, from stuffy noses and asthma to hypertension and arthritis. The pharmaceutical giant's top prescription drugs include asthma medication Singulair, anti-inflammatory Remicade, hypertension fighters Cozar and Hyzar, and cholesterol combatants Vytorin, Zetia, and Zocor. The company also makes animal health pharmaceuticals, as well as childhood and adult vaccines for diseases such as measles, mumps, hepatitis, and shingles. Its OTC drug and personal care offerings include Claritin allergy pills and Dr. Scholl's foot care products. The company completed a reverse merger with the old Merck in 2009 and took on the Merck name. I'm Christy Duffy for Smart Trend News. For more on Merck stock, visit our website, www.tradethetrend.com. You can also find more company profiles on our YouTube channel, Trade the Trend.
In 1668, Frederick Jacob Merck purchased a pharmacy in Germany, where it eventually was built up into a chemical pharmaceutical factory. In 1903, Emanuel Merck immigrated and relocated the company to the United States, where it was officially named Merck & Company. It was confiscated in 1917 by the U.S. government during World War I and later reestablished as an independent American company. In 1953, Merck merged with the Philadelphia company known as Sharp & Dohme, Inc. This merge combined Merck's strength in scientific research and chemical manufacturing with Sharp & Dohme's sales, distribution system, and marketing skill. In 1957, the company developed the Merck Company Foundation, a U.S.-based private charitable foundation funded entirely by the company and is Merck's chief source of funding support for qualified nonprofit charitable organizations. In 1963, Merck introduced the first vaccine for measles, and 4 years later developed a mumps vaccine. In 2005, former president of the manufacturing, Richard Clark, was named CEO and company president until he retired in January 2011 when Kenneth Frazier took over.
Kenneth Frazier was born in 1954. He's the second of 3 children. His mother tragically passed away in 1966 while he was only 12 years old. He went on to attend Penn State University, which he followed up with a law degree at Harvard. He spent 14 years as a lawyer before joining Merck & Company in 1992. He led the company through many lawsuits over the effects of Vioxx, saving them billions of dollars. He has a wife named Andrea, a son James, and a daughter Lauren.
In 2009, Merck decided to acquire competitor Schering-Plough for $41.1 billion. The merger of these two pharmaceutical companies generated combined sales of $46.9 billion the prior year. These mega mergers were expected by analysts ever since competitor Pfizer offered to acquire Wyeth for $68 billion. The driver for Merck's acquisition was due to some of their best-selling products being cloned by a generic form. This merger gives Merck access to well-known Schering brands such as allergy spray Nasonex, as well as an international presence. 70% of Schering's revenue comes from outside the U.S., expanding Merck's global reach. Still, with any relationship or merger, there are potential pitfalls. One likely conflict with this merger involves cholesterol drug Zetia and Vytorin. Sales have plummeted due to studies questioning their drugs' safety and effectiveness. Due to stock prices of large pharmaceutical companies plummeting over the past decade, the Merck-Schering merger was not the last merger that has occurred over the past few years. Many corporations are teaming up to plug holes in their drug pipelines. The Merck-Schering acquisition has allowed Merck to stay innovative and create a competitive edge over their competitors.
Pfizer is one of the world's largest research pharmaceutical firms and is located in New York, New York. Pfizer provides pharmaceuticals for quite a few infirmities. It is the producer of many top prescription drugs that lower cholesterol, manage pain, treat erectile dysfunction, and helps with high blood pressure. They also provide products that vaccinate pneumonia in patients. The main drugs that Pfizer produces include Advil, Viagra, Celebrex, Centrum, and Robitussin. Pfizer was ranked number 48 in Fortune 500, which is an annual list compiled and published by Fortune magazine that ranks the top 500 U.S. closely held and public corporations as ranked by their gross revenue after adjustments made by the Fortune to exclude the impact of excess taxes company incur. The list includes publicly and privately held companies for which revenues are publicly available. The Fortune 500 list was published in 1955, and Pfizer was ranked 48 in May 2013. Compared to Merck, Pfizer is a big volume company and is worth $397.20 more than Merck's company. GlaxoSmithKline Company is located in London, United Kingdom, and is in the top 5 of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. GSK's best sellers include respiratory, neurological, cardiovascular, and dermatology drugs, as well as vaccines and antivirals. GSK was ranked number 23 in the FT Global 500, which is an annual ranking of the top 500 corporations worldwide as measured by revenue. This list is compiled and published annually by Fortune magazine. GlaxoSmithKline and bestseller drugs include Advair, Lovaza, Avodart, Cervarix, Tums, Aquafresh, Sensodyne, Nicorette, and Nicoderm. Compared to Merck, GlaxoSmithKline is a much higher volume firm. GlaxoSmithKline is worth $1,843.45 more than Merck, which tells Merck that the competition is in much better standing in today's market than Merck is.
What expectations are there for the company, for Frazier as CEO, for Frazier himself, and how do they all differ?
The expectation for the company is to generate profits and meet forecasts. The expectations as CEO is to research the right things and spend as little time and resources as possible. The expectations for himself are risky, where he will never be just satisfied and always strive for perfection. These all differ in that the investors demand growth, while the CEO demands speed and accurate bets. The reality is research takes time and can be halted and costly, which puts companies into decisions between ethical and unethical courses of action.
How could you improve the conflict of interest between the investors, the CEO, the public, and reality?
The public and investors go hand in hand because they are both the majority and understand the risky nature of pharmaceutical research. The CEO needs to understand an $8.5 billion research bet is a necessary expense to have future probable returns. It's not to meet the forecast and come out with an underdeveloped drug, but instead take the necessary cuts and not make the forecast on time. There's not really an option, there's only an ethical option to take the necessary cuts.
In what ways do you think Frazier's past successes have affected his managerial behavior?
So Frazier has had a successful career beginning in undergrad, where he excelled in the classroom, resulting in his admittance to Harvard Law. Once a lawyer, Frazier also experienced many successes within the courtroom, including many victories for Merck. Frazier's history of success has given him loads of confidence in his ability to get positive results. Understandably, Frazier was agile enough to make the transition from representing the organization as a lawyer to running Merck as a CEO.